Welcome all you are fans to UR Talk issue 3. This is on 2 here with Sliffy.
Hi.
To discuss the brand new Vortex as well as the clan itself. First I'd like to thank Pullers something UM and as well as White Dragon 11 for lending us the Vortex cards for funding.
Brew Heroes.
Yeah, that was very nice of you and everything, and hopefully, White Dragons, I believe, is giving us the next cards for the next release, so hopefully that'll be pretty cool, because then we get to test them out, but who knows.
Yep.
Anyway, right, so, interesting enough, 4 new Vortex cards came out, and that was kind of cool. It's interesting to note, though, that the Mono Vortex, if you put it all together, is actually 26 stars and not 25 stars. I'm not sure why UR have actually done that.
Bad move.
It kind of, I don't really understand why they've actually done that though, because I don't know, I think they're just trying to squeeze out all the pennies out of us in the next release, because obviously we want to use them in ELO and all that, so, who knows, but maybe you are wanting this clan to be a DT clan or something, I don't know. I sort of doubt it though. Anyways. Sorry, what's that?
I said I agree.
Oh, okay. Oh. Right, so let's just go on to the new cards and all that, because obviously that's what we need to do. Right, so firstly we've got Offglin, who at 5 stars is a 7/5, and the ability of plus 1 damage. No, sorry, yeah, plus 1 life per damage, and so is it's able to make that huge kind of gap. So what's your first initial thoughts on it, Slippy?
Offline is actually a really good card. He is much safer than Kryn and Dahlia, or whatever her name is, before. Because he has the feat, which gets those kills back, so even if you do a massive rush, you get those kills back. Problem is, I'm really bad with him, apparently, and I keep making really obvious moves that my opponent beats me by. And when he loses, he loses. So that's 5 stars wasted.
I think the good thing about Offglin, and unfortunately, because you used it in ELO actually, I think, didn't you, with the Vortex? But when I used it actually in fights type, I used it in only Fight Club, whatever. So I wasn't playing particularly strong opponents.
Right.
But the thing was, I could actually just probably play badly the whole game with the Vortex, even if I did this bad prediction or something, but I could still get this late game nuke with Offglin, and it'd be all fine and everything,
Right. Right, I've actually won certain games by losing all 3 turns beforehand and the Fury attacking off with even in ELO.
Yeah. And obviously you get the free pills from the Vortex itself, so you can actually, I think you could probably nuke just about everything with Fury or whatever.
But
as long as they...
a lot of people will realize, what you're trying to do, so don't count on that working against most good players.
Yeah. The other thing is, though, there's two the huge dilemma with Offglin is the fact that people can actually, there's 2 things. Your opponent will either be, he'll just attack randomly, he wouldn't know what to do, whatever, and then you get the late game nuke with Offglin. Right. Or, your opponent will be, transfixed on stopping this Offglin. For example, if they had something an SOA card, and he'll keep that SOA card for, however long turns in order to stop the Offglin. The issue with doing that is, if you had Sunder, or, I'm trying to think what the other, also, Sib Leah, the other new card that came out, would be so transfixed on this Offglin that he would forget about those other cards, and then get hit by their nasty abilities and all that. And that's the great thing about Offglin, is the fact of that, really.
Right. He's a good card. The problem is that he can't do it KO very well, because of his weird 5 damage.
Yeah, I think that's the other issue. It's a gapping ability and not a KOing ability. So your opponent might still have a chance unless you do in the last round or whatever. If you used it in the first round or something, I don't know, your opponent still has a chance to get a life back, because obviously they're not dead yet, obviously.
Right.
It'll still be a game for them.
Right.
Anyway, right, so what's the issues with, what's the big real problems that Offglin has?
The big problems that Offglin has, one is if you play him too obviously and he loses, you're losing a 5-star, obviously. Another flaw he has is damage reduction, like many other Vortex out on the field.
Yeah, things like Spiaggi can completely stop him in his tracks. But I mean, even things like Uranus can really just...
Right, even Pussycat can kind of weaken it.
Hmm. But unless you use Fury with it, obviously. I mean, that's
right. But Fury is a lot of pills, and yeah,
fair dues. I mean, the other real giant issue, and this was the issue I had, and it's still a big kind of problem with, unfortunately for the Vortex, and I hope they get more cards to counter them.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is they have real problems against roots.
Mm-hmm.
Things like Yuki, Arno, and Gina.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely destroy the Vortex, especially Offglen as well, because not only does Offglen lose his ability, but he also gets damage reducted by, by Yuki, whatever.
Right.
And it's left with absolutely, it's only about 3 damage or whatever, and so it's just absolutely useless then.
Yeah. And that's the risk you take when taking a card with that many stars into the game.
Yeah. But I think, overall, he'll probably might become a staple. I think that's the thing. But he kind of reminds me a bit of Elaine from the scales a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, I agree. Like, we'll have to see until next release, of course.
It'd be interesting to see what they bring out though. I mean, I think the leader's probably coming next release. I think. I don't know. It'll probably come out.
I assume it's coming next release. So we'll have to
yeah, I assume. But I don't know how good that card will be. I mean, if it's going to be like a Kylus card, then maybe Offgun might be second choice. But who knows? It'll be interesting to see what they bring out.
Right, well,
I mean, overall. Oh yeah, sorry.
Well, yeah, we'll just have to see. Like, it's too premature to just decide that he's going to be stable.
Yeah. Alright, so overall, what would you give Offglen out of 10 or stars or whatever? I don't know.
I give him a 9 out of 10. He's a good card.
I'll probably give him like a 4.5 stars out of 10. Out of 5, what I'm saying. There, whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's a good card. The issue is, I mean, he has a few counters, obviously, but at the end of the day, I mean, who wouldn't want a huge, giant nuking, endgame nuke that's just really cheap?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will be moving on to Seablade, the next release of the Vortex, and Seablade at 3 stars is a 7/4 with the ability of stop plus 2 power. And firstly, what's your initial thoughts on it, Sliffy?
My initial thoughts, I thought Seablade would be very good because he counters what Vortex has a problem with SOA. But the problem, maybe this is a bad week for me, per se, but Elo, he can't really fight All-Stars very well. So if you need to win, you can't rely on Seablade that well, even against Striker, which your opponent will predict. And even when there's cards like Roots and Geist on the field, unless they're using a mono deck with them, they can kind of predict when you're going to play Seablade or not, so Seablade won't be as effective.
Yeah. I think it's always an issue when you're using stop cards, because obviously a lot of the time your opponent's not going to be stupid enough to play an SOA first turn. The only thing I had, which was a good thing with Seablade, and I mean maybe it was just the fact that I was playing bad opponents in Fight Club, but my opponent actually in panic they would play the SOA, because obviously like, oh, I don't know what to do against that Offglin or whatever, because obviously the Offglin could like destroy them whatever. And so they would play it in kind of panic, and so in that sense I get like the free Seablade or something. But on the other hand though, I mean, if you're playing good Elo players, I mean, even if they did start with an SOA, they would realise, oh, that Seablade's going to come out, so I'm going to put at least a few pills or whatever on it.
Right.
But I mean, yeah. My kind of thoughts on Seablade though is he's an okay card, but he's not amazing. I mean, he's definitely not great.
I agree.
Yeah.
And actually, based on my own playing, a lot of people underestimate Seablade when he doesn't have stop out. Because every time let's say I lead with Seablade, okay? And your opponent's like, oh, this is obviously going to be a bluff because Seablade won't have an ability out. But if you like 4 pill Seablade, 28 attack, and your opponent doesn't pill at all, you still get 4 damage in.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a good thing about Seablade. I mean, obviously, the 7 power is actually nothing to laugh at, really. But I mean, it's still not amazing, but it's good for Vortex terms.
Right,
I mean,
he's solid.
If you look at the average power of Vortex, it's actually not bad.
He has solid power. I agree.
Okay. But I mean, the other good thing was actually, because I remember saying earlier that maybe this could be the next DT clan. I mean, obviously, I mean, I wouldn't say it's absolute really, unless they, release loads of these 6 power cards or something, or I don't know. But I mean, the good thing is he sort of counters for the noobs, obviously. He counters Jackie a bit. So maybe in the future, maybe he become the next kind of newbie card. And so people could use it to, then counter Jackie a bit. But I mean, it's not the best counter against Jackie, obviously.
Right. Like, you're getting pretty waters here, because, like, you're making it sound, nothing really counters Jackie in the game, per se. Unless like, he's considered top card.
Yeah, but he does an okay job at, like, being, I mean, he's still not as good as Jackie, but I mean, obviously he would still do a slightly good job against it, obviously.
Right.
I mean, especially for a newbie card, like, well, I mean, I wouldn't, I feel regretful for saying he's a newbie, actually, but I mean, he's still an alright card, actually, to be fair.
He's a decent card, he's not the greatest